Today I'm going to talk about David Thoreau. So let's start with who he was. He was born in He was born in July 12, 1817, and he died in 1862. Okay. And we may know him from his essays Civil Disobedience or sometimes from Walden. But he was a more colorful character than that, because he was also a philosopher, which is he was interested in Indian philosophy. He was also a transcendentalist. He was also an artist because although Walden is one of his it's kind of a diary, he wrote it so that it was a piece of art, like a literary book. He was also a scientific originator because he introduced the original American pen. He improved the way the pen worked. And he was also an anti-slavery activist, which we can see in actually the Civil Disobedience, because he clearly stated that it was his regret that he lived in such a society that supported slavery. And my thesis is David Thoreau inspired many important movements with his two major works, Walden and Civil Disobedience. So let's begin with Transcendentalism, because it affected his life. So Transcendentalism was a movement that was actually against the it was against empirical reasoning. Transcendentalists thought that the individual should be more in touch with himself and nature, and that the devices of the society ultimately corrupt the individual, like religion or political parties. And they thought that goodness is inherent in nature and humans. That's why we need to look deep within ourselves and find that goodness. And one of the fathers of the movement was Emerson, which was also Thoreau's lifelong friend and mentor. And then there's Walden, which is actually like a diary of his 2 years, 2 months, and 2 days of solitude in here on the pond. And he thought of it as a necessary spiritual journey because, as I said, it was Transcendentalism's main idea. Okay. And his other great work was Civil Disobedience, which he supported that if an individual doesn't like how his government works, then he should not abide by it. He should, it's not like doing something illegal, but for instance, paying taxes. If the government is in war and you do not support the war, then he says you should not pay the tax. And he actually did that and was jailed for a day, which started a chain of events later. And here's one of his quotes from Civil Disobedience: "I heartily accept the motto that governance is best which governs least, and carried out it finally amounts to this, which also I believe that governance is best which governs not at all." And actually this statement is quite powerful, and people thought that he was an anarchist because they thought he didn't like government at all, which he refused to accept. He thought that he called for a better government at the beginning, but it was his thought that when humanity finally got to a point that the government is not needed at all, then anarchy, or in this case, no government would take place. And as I said, he inspired many movements. I think one of the greatest movements that he inspired was the civil rights movement. And this is actually from Martin Luther King's autobiography. He says, "The teachings of Thoreau came alive in our civil rights movement. Indeed, they are more alive than ever before." And maybe he did not mention Thoreau like Martin Luther King Jr. did, but Gandhi's movement was also one of the one such movement, because when we talk about civil disobedience, it means that the individuals do not do anything illegal, like rioting or anything like that, but they simply refuse to abide by the law, and they do it passively, ultimately. And Thoreau's civil disobedience essay was summarizing this all. And I got another quote from Ken Kiefer, who is a Walden scholar. He says, Thoreau's careful observations and devastating conclusions have rippled into time, becoming stronger as the weaknesses Thoreau noted have become more pronounced. Events that seem to be completely unrelated to his stay at Walden Pond have been influenced by it, including the national park system, the British labor movement, the creation of India, the civil rights movement, the hippie revolution, the environmental movement, and the wilderness movement. Today's Thoreau's words are quoted with feeling by liberals, socialists, anarchists, libertarians, and conservatives alike. And I think this shows how Thoreau was powerful in his explaining, because we do not generally see people agreeing, like anarchists and libertarians and conservatives agreeing on the same thing. And Walden was also one of these initiator movements, because it also initiated the environmental movement. And that was all. Thank you for listening.